Hi everyone, and welcome back to Niall Pod. My name is Neil, and this is Thomas, and we are back with part 2 of our Benidorm Fest preview. Last week we listened to 8 of the Benidorm Fest songs. There was quite an interesting mix. If you missed that, go to niallpointspod.com. You can watch that as well as all of the rest of our videos, including the UMK reaction series that we've been up to. But now it's time to look at the final 8 songs competing in Benidorm Fest. So we're going to again do it on shuffle. We'll start with the first 4 songs, starting off with an artist called David Afonso, and the song is Amor Barato, and then we'll see who's after that. So let's take a listen.
Lo que no me darás, ya no quiero tu amor barato, tus caprichos, tus silencios. No quiero ser uno de tantos con los que matas el tiempo. Ya me cansé de tu teatro, no quiero estar aquí de paso.
Quiero decirte que me gustas tú, tus labios sobre mí, cuando lo haces así. Quiero decirte que me gustas tú, tu cuerpo pide más, acércate y ya verás, me gustas tú. Si te meto en mi camino, recuerda yo soy así, soy la diosa más odiosa que la rompe en este beat. Soy veneno para ti, cuando yo no estoy aquí, todavía huele a mí. Una diva sencilla como un simple mortal. Una diva no pisa a nadie para brillar. Su voz le hace grande. ¿Qué más da si ella es libre cantando como un pez en el mar? Una diva es valiente, poderosa.
Right, those were our first 4 songs. So let's start off with the first one we heard, which was David Afonso, Amor Barato.
Yes.
This is quite nice. I really like how sort of chilled it is. It's very, very chilled at the start, and then sort of the rhythm starts a little bit more, giving us that sort of really nice flamenco vibe in there as well. Really strong vocal. To be fair, it's another one that's kind of layer a bit. It's really inoffensive and really easy to listen to, but it's not, it's not going to be a huge performance or anything like that. It might still do quite well, but I just don't know how you could make this stand out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I know what you mean, and I sort of wrote down the same thing when I listened to the songs the first time around a couple of weeks ago. It was before New Year's. He's got a really good voice, and I think that's what sells it to me. Is his vocal. Also helps that he's quite, good. He's like quite good looking, right? He's easy to look at. So
easy listening and easy on the eye.
Yeah, exactly. But I really do enjoy the song. I feel like it's one of those songs where I would easily just put this on the radio and vibe, or just put it on in the background whilst I'm doing something else. I don't know. But as you said, this isn't going to be a huge performance. That doesn't mean that every entry has to be a huge performance, but you have to have something that makes it memorable. And I feel like this one sort of falls in the middle. We can't expect any fireworks or crazy dance routines here or whatever. There's not any big vocal riffs that are going to stand out. But then it's also not calm and intimate enough, I feel, to make it stand out in that way. If you think about, like Salvador Sobral, for example, who really stood out because of the intimacy of his performance. I don't feel like this song has that quality either, but I still like it. I just feel like mainly for me, the biggest issue with the song is the verses are a little bit too simple. They're not really layered enough, whereas the chorus I really enjoy.
Yeah. But yeah, I really... It was really nice. As I say, it is one of those inoffensive songs. So that if it was one of those that went to Eurovision, if it won, it wouldn't do badly as a result of being a bit too out there. I think we've discussed before, Blanca Palomo probably suffered because it was a little bit more out there, whereas this is more reined in, which could do well, but I just don't know if I can see. We obviously need to wait and see till Benidorm Fest is actually on, but I just don't know if I can see this really catching people in the way that you would want it to.
Exactly, and ultimately, or at least I assume the goal from any national selection, whether it's a national final or an internal selection, the goal is to find a song that could potentially win the Eurovision Song Contest. You know, maybe that's not the goal for every broadcaster if they don't really want to host it, but at least in the perspective of the fans, I think you should at least try to come up with something that will grab the audience. So in that sense, this is not the best choice for Spain.
Yeah. After that, we had Kingdom, Me Gustas Tu. This is another one that felt really easy to listen to, but in a completely different way. Obviously, you've got that more synth vibe in there, stuff like that. To begin with, I was a little bit worried that it was going to turn into a variation of Women's Show. Do you remember from MGP last year, where it was like girl and two guys, and it was just like all over the place?
The title rings a bell. I'd have to look it up, the performance again.
But I was worried it was going to go in that direction. I mean, that was iconic, but also not great. But this didn't. It just felt modern, fun, but also relaxed at the same time. Like, I don't know how you can be fun and relaxed at the same time in a 3-minute song, but it felt right. Everything production-wise felt kind of spot on to me. Like, it wasn't ever too much, you know. Some songs, especially when they have synth in them, and I'll come on to this with our next song as well, feel like they can be too much, but everything just felt right. It wasn't boring, but it was calm at the same time. I do you know what? I'm getting similar vibes from this one as I got last year with their entry, Soda, which they're different kind of songs. But like I'm getting the same feeling when I listen to them, which is just like you say, it's easy, because Zora as well was very easy to listen to. It didn't really have any highs, it didn't really have any lows, there weren't really any big vocal moments. Neither are there any moments like that in this song, but it's just fun. And you're just like bopping along, and this is, you know, I actually moved it up a place now, listening to it in my ranking. I was like, maybe I should put this, because I had it like 4th, and I was like, maybe I should put this in my top 3. So it's just enjoyable. It's nothing groundbreaking. I also don't think it has any real shot at winning Benidorm Fest, but it's just fun. And I remember thinking the first time, like, it reminds me of something. What does it remind me of? And still to this day, I can't think of anything. Is it like Churches or something like that?
No, I don't know what it is, but I just keep, like, this is the second time I'm hearing it, and I'm like, what does this remind me of? And that's been going for weeks now. The first time I listened to this, like I said, pre-New Year's Eve, so it's like, why does it sound so familiar? Or maybe it's just because it's one of those songs that sounds like a lot of other songs, but in a good way.
If you have any idea of what it's similar to and think you could help Thomas out, go to the comments on YouTube. Let us know. Really helpful. The next song was Milmana, called I'm a Queen, which instantly is an intriguing title, because you're like, is this going to be sort of like self-discovery? Is this going to be like kind of Queen-esque from Alessandra? Like, what vibe is this going to give? And it starts off with this really like high note vocal, which is smooth and delicate, and then moves into this sort of rap-esque style, which I really wasn't expecting. You know, it really kind of took me by surprise a little bit. What about you?
Yeah, it's so eclectic. I feel like it's so many genres in one song, and I was listening to it and thinking, oh, okay. And I was going through the song, and certain parts I was like, oh, this is really nice. Oh, this is really cool. And then there were other parts I was like, oh no, this is just noise to me. and then she did something else, and I was like, oh no, this is fun again. And I thought, like, let me check on Blue Sky what I said about this. And this is what I said about it initially. I said, oh no, this is where being sassy gets annoying. This is everything I don't like in one song, chaotic and childlike. first song I didn't manage to sit through entirely. Maybe I should have sat through it entirely. I couldn't because I was really annoyed by it. I have to say I was listening to it on my phone, like not really with in-ears.
Yeah.
And now while I was reading my initial review, I'm thinking, oh no, that's not how I feel now. I don't know if it's because I've got the in-ears now, I can hear the instrumentation better, or maybe it's just because it's the second time I'm hearing it and it's growing on me. But I'm like, oh, this is actually not as bad as I initially thought. But there's still certain parts of the song that irk me, especially in the instrumental parts between, the verses and the choruses. That's sort of like, ooh, this is just very noisy, very loud. There's all these kind of like, it's like someone would like, tap a glass and then just echo that and put that in there. Just all these kind of noises, and it's just a little bit too triggering for me.
Interesting. I put something similar. I put that it seemed like every sound effect to ever exist has been thrown into this, but somehow for me it didn't manage to sound over the top. Like I would have thought all these sound effects together would be noisy, but I didn't actually think that. I just found them a little bit distracting, if that makes sense. Like they took me a little bit out of it because I realized I was focusing on what sound effect are they playing now instead of what is this song. Like I was listening to the sound effects, but it wasn't overall bad. Again, this is one that I'm not sure how it stands out from the crowd. It's another one that just sort of feels like it could just be there a little bit. I don't know. But it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was good.
I think maybe people, if you listen to it for the first time on the night of the I don't know if is there just one final or are they doing semis?
It's two semifinals.
It's two semifinals. So by the time of the final, if it qualifies, people will hear it for the second time maybe. But even in the night of a semifinal, you're either going to hate this or you're going to like it. I think. I don't think there's really much in between unless you've heard it a couple of times and it starts to grow on you, like I said. But I don't know if enough people are going to be loving it to put it through. I have no clue what. I feel like anything and everything could happen with this entry. It could come top 3, or it could just completely flop and not make it through the semi.
Yeah. No Interesting. Clue. Before we go on to the final act, I do just want to say I think it's hilarious that in both episodes of this Benidorm Fest preview, you have asked what the format of Benidorm Fest is. in both episodes, you've asked.
I forget stuff.
We're both over 30. We're not expected to remember things anymore, guys. The last song, Melody Essa Diva. Let's start with you, Thomas. What do you think? Let's start. You were vibing.
I was vibing. It's just, look, it's very dated. It's very. I was kind of confused looking at the picture of the singer, and I thought she looks really young, but then the song sounds kind of dated, and it sounds kind of like. This is going to sound rude, but maybe like something a woman in her 40s would sing. Mm-hmm. Someone that from a different generation that's I don't know how to explain it. It feels a little dated to me, but I still like it. It's funky, and there's again certain parts here that I really, really enjoyed. I especially like the bridge, and then that sort of like high long note that she does, and I really love, and I really love the sort of traditional. I don't know. Is it also like flamenco influences that come through here and there? So that's something that I always love to see. So yeah, overall, again, I suppose it's sort of there. I don't think it's gonna be contending for a ticket to Eurovision, which seems to be a bit of a red thread throughout this national final. I think I feel like there's one or two ones that stand out so far, and the rest is just sort of like, I don't know, fun, but no clue where it's going to end up.
Yeah. So I put something similar. So my initial thought was that it was like a fantastic start, and it sounded like I was going to get the sort of pop banger I want with that Spanish flair sprinkled in there. And through the first verse, it built into the chorus nicely, but I just felt it didn't go as far as it needed to go. Like, there wasn't as much of a beat drop as I would have wanted. What you were saying about it sounding like someone who's a little bit older, I did say that it gives a little bit of a Melfest Schlager Queen. I have absolutely no issues with that. We all love a bit of a Melfest Schlager Queen. How can we not? But it just didn't go, like, even the final chorus, it did like go a little bit more, but it just didn't have this oomph to it that it sort of needed it. Do you know what? Does that make sense? Where I say it just didn't have all the power that it could have had. I feel like this could have been more of a moment, and it just sort of flatlined a little bit.
Yeah, it's quite linear. I feel like something of a revamp could maybe put this up to a level where you said where it has that sort of oomph that you want from it. It's just sort of like it's got potential and it's nearly there, but just not quite. Maybe even a key change at the end, which is the most cliche thing. But if you're gonna bring, a, like you said, Melfest Schlager type song, then you might as well have that key change, because what is more Schlager at Eurovision than a key change?
Exactly.
So just
something.
I don't know. Yeah.
Something.
Add a little.
Something's
It
missing.
has to be. Yeah. Something needs to be added. But
Add a little spice.
yes.
Add a little spice. Right. That means we're on to the last 4 songs of Benidorm Fest. Have we already heard the winner, or is the potential winner coming up? Let's find out and take a listen to
I thought you were asking me. I was starting to think, have we? I was kind of like thinking, okay, ready to answer, and then you continued. I was like, okay.
Sorry. So let's delve into these final 4 and see what we think.
Ay, María Macarena, no encuentro mejor marido. Ay, que la pena. Vuelvo a sentir fuego en mi cuerpo cuando se acercan las noches de verano. Es que ya no te acuerdas. Bailemos como antes cuando éramos las reinas. Que todos nos miren bailar, que no termine la fiesta. Bésame como la última vez. Déjame las huellas en la piel. Haz que dure hasta el amanecer. No vuelvas a desaparecer. Bésame como la última vez.
Porque soy tu VIP. Vente pa' abajo y así resolvemos la gana que tengo de ti. Báilame lento y que sea tu cuerpo el que diga si quieres seguir.
Okay, that was the final 4 songs of Benidorm Fest. We started off with De Teresa, and the song was La Pena. Thomas, what did you think?
I don't know. I feel like it's just all over the place, isn't it? And but that was my first thought, and I still think the same thing. And I just don't know if it's only that, or if it somehow in all its chaos works.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like after the second listen, maybe I'm inclined more towards like it probably does work. Maybe with staging, this would make sense more, because I feel like just as a studio cut, it's kind of like what the hell am I listening to? It's very theatrical. It's dramatic. I feel like it's got a bit of Schlager in there. It's got a bit of tango in there. It's got it's got a beat at some points. The vocal is also all over the place, but a good vocal. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. And then, obviously, we're probably going to be showing clips from music videos, if there are. I don't know if there are. I remember when I listened to the songs, it was just like a still picture.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any music videos. But if there's no music video, for the people who are listening, the picture that was shown to us right now is her basically dressed in like a sort of like a dress of roses, and she's sort of like stuck to an apple with a
I thought it was an olive.
Was it an olive?
I thought it was like an olive like you put in a martini.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Wait, let me. Huh? Let me check that again. Maybe I just. Where is it? Where's the playlist?
There it is. There it's on the screen.
Oh yeah, it's probably an Olive. Yeah. So she's anyway, whatever it is, she's just sort of like stuck to this olive with like a needle pierced, like one of those cocktail needles pierced through her. And funny enough, the very start of the song has this sort of like a slashing sound. I don't know if you remember it, like the first couple of seconds, and I was like, oh, well, that's them just sticking her to the olive. It's just a perfect picture that sums up this song. It was wild.
Yeah,
I kind of enjoyed it. I just don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, there was a few surprising bits in there for sure. Like at one point I thought I heard like a karate chop style hiya, like. There was so much going on. The move into the dramatic parts was by far my favorite. They really made me want to go and watch like a telenovela or something like that as well. Like just really like enjoy the drama and suspense and the face slapping and all the rest of it. I get your point. When I was listening to it, I was almost taking each part as it came because it was like several songs chopped up and just like slammed together in an edit. There wasn't even with like maybe a sound effect to cover up the most like the transition. Like it was wild. Like but that final part felt like it could be a moment, especially on stage. Like it sort of took me aback a little bit in a good way. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested to see what happens here. So this could be an interesting one to watch, I think.
Yeah. Did you get any Mimi Cat vibes from this? I was getting Mimi Cat. Like, not throughout the whole song, but certain parts, especially sort of like the theatrical and dramatic parts. I was like, I was envisioning Mimi Cat, you know, that thing that she did on stage with her dress like this and sort of like the dramatic steps. That's what I was getting. I was like, oh, this is cool. And so we love a bit of Mimi Cat, don't we?
It did immediately remind me of something, but I wasn't sure what. So it could be that, but I'm not sure. There was something
just certain parts of it.
Yeah, I get you. But good effort. I'm interested to see that. It's always good when you get a song where you're like interested to see what it does on stage. Because both these parts, you know, having the song and the stage work together, you need to have both things be good to start with. So that's an interesting one. We then had Sonia and Selena. I didn't really even write that much for this one. Their song was Renas. I kind of just wrote Mullers. Like, they looked amazing. They sounded fun. It was kind of Schlager, kind of disco. It was a really fun vibe throughout. I just want to listen to it again. And that was all I really wrote because I was just vibing with it quite a lot.
Yeah, same. This to me is just Schlager to its core. It was just everything that you want from Schlager music. Whereas some songs in this actual lineup have a bit of Schlager. It's like not exactly there. It's sort of like Schlager trying to be modern, but not really succeeding. This one was just Schlager, you know, completely from start to finish. I also wrote down, obviously the song is called Reinas, but I also wrote down divas. These are just divas to me.
Yeah.
Just the way that they look. And I was kind of reminded of, even though I never watch that show, I was kind of reminded of Desperate Housewives. It's just that picture of them. It's like, this is Desperate Housewives, but like a Spanish version of them. And I was also envisioning, this is Hurricane in 30 years' time.
Oh, okay.
But one of them left them because they had a big fight and it was a lot of drama. And one of them left and the other two are like,
oh my God, can we get...
We're gonna do a song for Benidorm Fest. That's sort of what I had in mind.
Can we have the Real Housewives of Benidorm? That's what we should have. I want to watch that drama.
We've got 2 stars already.
I kind of enjoy that we're now broadening the definition of Schlager, because obviously Schlager is more Swedish, German, that sort of thing, but it's sort of got its vibe, and we're sort of just applying that vibe to this rather than it actually being Schlager, just to just in case some people who are really Schlager experts come for us at all. Just want to clear that up. It's sort of a vibe more than anything. We then had Carla Frigo with the song Bassam. I really loved her voice from the first moment. I thought she sounded fantastic. The instrumentation was a lot of fun, and then it just went even more fun. The chorus sounded really good. It had a great dance feel without feeling too clubland or too disco or EDM. It just sounded quite modern and clean. This, and I'll say this again for the last song, but this could be an interesting option for Eurovision. Spain have that great advantage of being in the Big Five, so don't have to qualify. And that does mean they can take some more risks because they don't need to worry about getting through the semi-finals anyway. Because this could, I don't think this would be a winner at Eurovision by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like it could do okay. Like, it could get them a respectable result, and that I feel like that's what Spain have been looking for a little while. But yeah, it just sounded modern. I'd kind of love to see how something like this would actually fare at Eurovision. I don't think we've really seen, like, I know we get a lot of your pop girlies and stuff like that, but this feels different. It doesn't feel like some of the stuff we're used to at Eurovision, and I'd be interested to see how that would perform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of following you, but not entirely. I feel like
that's our whole relationship, to be honest, isn't it?
It's just with this one, there's definitely, I would say this is maybe the pop girly that we've seen a couple times with, Chanel or Eleni Ferreira or even Malta's entry Loop last year, but sort of elevated and a little bit. I can see you frowning. Let me finish my sentence, babes.
I'm listening.
I can see you sort of thinking. You said it's kind of like pop girly. It is kind of pop girly, but it's elevated. It's. I think it's got more of a beat. I wrote down it's got a bit of a techno beat. I was kind of imagining this song on like a big festival like Tomorrowland or something, that this would go off. It's got a really satisfying beat drop, and there's a couple of beat drops throughout the song, which I always like. We have that repetition when something's really good. You're kind of like, I want to hear it again. So they do that really well. I'm not a big fan of the vocal effects, but I feel like it's
I get you there.
It's sort of true to the genre, so I get why they're doing it. I just don't want to see that on stage. I kind of want to hear her own voice.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm thinking pop girly is because I'm definitely expecting some kind of dance break at some point. There is a big part of instrumentation a little over halfway through the song where it's like, well, what else could you do than dance? So that's why I'm getting that Eleni Ferreira, I'm getting that Loop, I'm getting that, Chanel slow-mo kind of vibe. The only issue that I have with the song, and it's a major issue in my opinion, is the ending is very disappointing. It gets to the last 30 seconds, it sort of loses all of its power, and it's sort of like doing a long instrumental fade out, and it's kind of like, why? If you've got this banger of a song, why not go out with a bang as well? It just, I'm confused why they did that. It just
fair.
Annoys me a little bit. I'm like, just keep that beat going. I don't want to hear a 30-second fade out to a song that was so banger for the first 2.5 minutes. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, it's one of those, could be interesting. We'll just need to wait for her semi-final. And then finally we had Jay Cabello with the song VIP. Right, I'm intrigued. Let's start with you. What do you think? Because I need to see where you are.
I don't know.
I think we're okay. We might both be in the same place. We're not sure.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It is technically a very well written and produced song. It's slick, it's modern, it's cool, it's smart in a way. The choice of instrumentation, the drops, the vocals, the sort of spoken word here and there. It's very, very smart, but because of that, it feels like it's a little overproduced for me. It feels very much written with a potential victory in mind, which kind of doesn't make sense because obviously that's what they're trying to do. Obviously, if you enter a national final, not only do you want to get your music out there, but I assume you want to get to Eurovision. I assume that's the goal for the artists. But it's just, I have this thing with these kind of songs where it just screams, I want to win, I want to win. And this sort of does that. It's in no way a bad song or anything. It's still a really good entry. But I'm sort of annoyed by it a little bit. Sort of like, it's not very original, is it? It's sort of like, it feels like Eurovision by numbers. That's pretty much what I'm...
I mean, to begin with, I couldn't get into it. I'll say that it was not doing anything for me, but I did feel like the more this goes on, the more I could probably enjoy it. And that did happen to a degree. I felt like some of the lyrics were very sort of 2010, very simple, just with that modern sound added on top of it to make it sound like it's new. I kind of get what you mean in regards to the slightly overproduced, because it was sort of given to Gold vibes, Mahmood from last year, but without the same slickness and the same sort of charisma that I know you're not a big fan of Mahmood anyway in that song, but like there's a charisma there with Mahmood. You can't, it's undeniable and stuff like that. And it just felt like this was just like trying to imitate it, but trying too hard, maybe. But I do feel like it could be a crowd pleaser. Like it's a song that has, unlike some of the songs we've listened to in this national final, it has its sort of beginning, middle, end. Like it's got a structure that you can follow fairly easily. And yeah, the more it went on, the more I did enjoy it. I'm not enthralled by it. Like I'm just like, maybe a couple more listens and I'll be there, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's also, I had the same, do you remember last year when we reacted to Malta's entry? And both of us at the very first listen, we were like, oh, it's so unoriginal, it's too cliche, we've seen it all before, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up loving that song, both of us. I feel like this is probably going to be one of those songs, if it manages to make it to Eurovision. And I think it has a fairly good shot. It seems to be a fan favorite. A lot of people love it. I've also seen quite a few people with the same opinion as us. So who knows what will happen. But I think it's definitely, like you said, a crowd pleaser. And it's just one of those entries where you can objectively see the potential in it and you can see why people enjoy it. And you sort of enjoy it yourself. But still in the back of your mind, there's that thing where it's like, oh, it's just, I kind of wished it was a little more original. It had a little more, it's its own story to tell, and instead of just sort of like, because it feels like it's sort of paid really close attention to what's been doing well at Eurovision the past couple of years, and they sort of like took bits and pieces out of songs, and were like, okay, we need to do something like this. We need to add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's just like a recipe and adding a bit of spice, and it just got a little overspiced for me.
Yeah,
like an apple pie with too much cinnamon.
Well, it went from a medium curry to a hot curry. Like, you're going to be in the bathroom for a few hours. Okay, so.
I'm sorry, but it's a good-looking man. So when you say that you're going to be in the bathroom for a few hours, my mind just starts racing.
See, that's hilarious because his photo came up and I was instantly like, he's got a face I would like to slap.
Like, oh yeah, he does, but he's still a good-looking man.
What are you trying to do in the bathroom with him then?
No comment.
No incrimination here. Okay. We've obviously heard a winner. We've heard the song that is going to represent Spain at Eurovision. Do you have any idea of what it could be?
I think from what I can tell, like from what I like myself, and because sometimes the songs that you love don't always get the same reception by other people. Sometimes you can just love a song that no one else loves. But I feel like, what's her name? La Chispa, which was one of the girlies we listened to last week. I think she's probably my safest bet. I think that's probably the biggest contender. Although I do feel like J.K. Bello is definitely in the running. And then there's the song from Celine Van Hale, who had like the sort of salsa song. Do you remember that from last week?
Yeah.
That one as well, I feel like, because it's so original, it's so different from all the rest, it could stand out. I'm thinking one of those three probably, although Cuvée, the one that we reviewed today as well, maybe she could, I don't know.
Cuvée was last week, but yeah.
No, Cuvée was, oh, was that, oh no, it was last week. See, I'm, no, that's not the one I meant. I meant
Kingdom?
that.
Because
No, I don't think that's a contender. Which was the Carla Frigo?
Oh,
Second
okay.
to last one that we. I think that one maybe because it's got that modern beat and it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I think that one maybe as well. But I do think La Chispa is probably the biggest contender.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure on that, but let's see how it goes. I really liked the Cuvée, and I really liked from this week. I've lost the name. That Kingdom song, the Megust 2. I've just got to bring them back up because we were both sort of like enchanted last week. I don't think anything's going to happen, but Lucas Bunn, fantastic, beautiful song.
I can only hope, but
yeah.
Do you think he has a shot?
I feel like it might stand out, and that could be good. But
yeah.
I don't know. I really don't.
There's no clear front runner. There's like I'm saying La Chispa because that's sort of like the vibe that I'm getting from other people, but there's not a clear, obvious winner. Like like when we had Karia in UMK 2 years ago. Like it's really anyone's game at this point.
Yeah, and it does feel like whatever route they go down it is, they are sort of taking a chance. There's nothing that feels like safe. Essentially, there's maybe a few that feel a little bit safer than others, but there's quite a few in there that have these like little bits of different things going on that we maybe wouldn't normally expect, especially from Spain. It does feel like they're going down a slightly different path this year.
Do you also feel like as a fandom, we're getting more, not judgmental, but we're getting more demanding about what a Eurovision song should be? Like, what is the perfect Eurovision song? I feel like a lot of these songs in this lineup as well, like 10 years ago, we would have considered, possible contender for the victory. And now we're like, I don't know. Are we getting a little too demanding? Are we getting a little too...
I think broader sense in terms of the fandom, there is some of that. I'm more of like I am more into that sort of artistry. Although I want something to sound like right up my street a lot of the time as well, I would much rather something with like authentic artistry to it and stuff like that. So that's why, although it wasn't my cup of tea, I can respect Bianca Paloma and stuff like that. Because there was real artistry to it and like a sort of conviction. I would rather that than someone coming with a Eurovision by numbers type. I don't think there is a perfect song. Like, I think it's about the authenticity, and I think that's one of the reasons why The Code did do so well last year, because it was authentic to Nemo and it was performed really well. And I think at the end of the day, that makes a great package. And I think it's the overall package that will win at the contest, essentially. So I think I think that authenticity, and I say that a lot, and I'm probably going to keep saying it a lot for the next few months as we are in this national final season, but it's so important. Like, if you can connect to someone singing a song about themselves or how their own feelings or something like that, you've got more chance of enjoying it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It's sort of like, yeah, I just feel like sometimes I feel like maybe because of the fact that we're all getting a little bit older and we see these younger generations becoming fans of the contest, and it's sort of like weird to see how people's opinions and people's expectations have shifted throughout the years. That's sort of what I'm getting at, and I feel like in any sense these days it's a lot harder to come up with a song that sounds like a winner than it was, for example, 10 or 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the quality of the winning songs, if you look at what's won in the past 10 years, they have all been really authentic, like you said, really authentic songs, true to the artist, very artistic in a way. You know, do you know what I mean? If you look at Salvador, if you look at Jamala, you know, Nemo, all of the Loreen, all of these entries where it's like these artists have really stayed true to their own thing, to their own person. Whereas a lot of songs can be really enjoyable and we can be dancing and we can be bopping, but they do sound a bit overproduced, or they do sound a bit like too cliche, and people will still enjoy it, and some people might still vote for it, but it's not going to get very far. It's not going to get very far in the competition.
No, I think that's fair. I think you're fair there.
Anyway, we're drifting.
Interesting. Yeah, we're drifting. If you have any favourites from this year's Benidorm Fest, if you know who you want to win, let us know in the comments down below on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And you can check out the audio version of the podcast and all of our other videos at niallpointspod.com, as well as all these social media accounts to follow for me, Thomas, and Niall Poit. That's it for Benidorm Fest. Apart from finding out who the winner is, we'll do a full reaction to that in due course. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.